as TCN fears more breakdown. I take it again. Syria grid collapses. Federal government orders overhaul as TCN fears more breakdowns. You'd remember that the national grid has been collapsing over and over again in recent times. So I guess the federal government is, doing everything possible to undo that. Other stories there from the Punch newspaper. It's saying reps demand data on citizens displaced by natural disasters. Why Africa should be cautious about celebrating Kemi elections. SON NMDPRA test imported petrol marketers reply Dangote. CSOs ZPL candidates condemn PDP's call for Rex deployment. Those are some of the headlines from the Punch newspaper. Other ones are saying that ranching, open grazing will end farmer-elder clash crisis. Adamawa Commissioner, LASG. There are 6 equal opportunity for pupils in low-fee payment schools. Lagos investment bidders to build power plant. Trump makes first cabinet peak. I Putin talks. I take it again. Trump makes first cabinet peak. Putin talks. Those are some of the headlines from the Punch newspaper this morning. In the Daily Post newspaper, the leading story there says mixed reactions trail Nigerian government release of end governance protesters. Mixed reactions trail Nigerian government release of end bad governance protesters. That's the leading story from the Punch, from the Daily Post newspaper this morning. Other ones are saying Ganduje coalition send fresh petition to EFCC. War, Trump will give Netanyahu a blank check, ex-CIA boss says. And U.S. election, Nigerian American Oye Uwuwale re-elected to U.S. Congress. That from the U.S. election there. Chad Army kill Boko Haram jihadist in airstrike. Come forward if you are yet to recover your money, NDIC tells Heritage Bank customers. Biafra will assent to all UN human rights treaties. That's according to Simeon Ekpa. Then Nigeria should unite. Abuja boat driver apologizes to Abia Rep Alex Ikwega. And that's the update there from the assault to the boat rep there. Then we'll see details in a moment. And in the Vanguard newspaper, a couple of headlines there says hunger crisis will hit 133.1 million Nigerians in 2025. That's according to reports from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Minimum wage, I go add small for second missionary journey. That's a pictorial report there. Then NAS backs power sector reform, 6 end to national grid collapse. Then anti-corruption group petition EFCC demand arrest and prosecution of Ganduje. There are some of the headlines there from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And from the Nation newspaper, a couple of headlines are reported there. It says Ogun student demise and antics of an opportunist. That's a report there from the Nation newspaper. Gunmen kill 3, injure 2 in Plateau State. Police officer dies in multiple accidents. Then Tinubu, media free to accuse single digit loan. That's from the president there. Oshun declares 3-day mourning as more tribute rains for General Lagbaja. Those are some of the headlines reported in the Nation newspaper this morning. We'll go for this breather. When we return, we'll bring you details of this story and more. Please stay with us.
Is here with us again. Oh Yes, Adamimogo 107.7 FM Idoikiti is using this medium to inform and invite children, parents, heads of nursery, primary and secondary schools, churches and individuals wishing to sponsor children and be a part of our 2024 Father Christmas show beginning from 2nd to 24th December 2024. Come and let's revel in the season of love and giving. It promises to be fun-filled. Our Father Christmas will arrive from Rome and be seated at his grotto in our station to receive children, dance and play with them. There are lots of take-home goodies and gifts from Father Christmas, as well as toys and play gadgets to make children's visit interesting, long-lasting, and memorable. For further inquiries, please contact Desmond Olaoluwa on 0806 511 4430 or Bayo Babalola on 0803 562 5812. Adamimogo 107.7 FM Idoikiti 2024 Father Christmas show promises to be exciting.
Of the stories, the headlines we've read earlier. If you're just joining us, the program is the daily dose where we bring to you stories making rounds in the national dailies. And I begin the details from the Punch newspaper with the collapse of the national grid, which has been a recurrent event. From the Punch newspaper, this is saying Syria grid collapses, federal government orders overhaul as TCN fears more breakdowns. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has ordered the immediate replacement of aged equipment as part of the recommendations to stop the incessant collapse of national grid. Adelabu assured that the replacement would be achieved in 6 months. Adelabu also directed the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, and all other relevant agencies of the ministry to begin the immediate implementation of the recommendations of the Interagency Committee set up to address the incessant grid collapses in the power sector. The minister marching order came as the TCN reported that the national grid experienced a disturbance at approximately 11:29 a.m. on Thursday, November 7th, 2024, which was caused by a sudden rise in frequency from 50.33 to 1.44 Hz. And the special advisor to the Minister on Strategic Information and Media, Bolaji Tunji, in a statement quoted the minister as saying that all relevant agencies in the ministry must brace up for immediate implementation of the recommendations of the committee, which was submitted on Wednesday, November 6, 2024. That's the update there from the federal government. In the Punch newspaper, Syria grid collapses, federal government orders overhaul as TCN fears more breakdown. That newspaper this morning, blackout while national grid collapse will not end soon. That's according to an expert there, reacting to the frequent national grid collapse in recent times. It says Nigeria's weak electricity grid system collapsed again yesterday, barely 24 hours after a committee set up by the federal government to end the national power grid incessant collapse submitted its report. The collapse, the second time this week, and the 10th in 2024, left the country without public power supply, with power generation and distribution companies taking huge financial hit and customers expressing frustration. Meanwhile, power sector stakeholders have warned that the incessant national grid collapse may persist, except urgent steps are taken to address the several challenges bedeviling the power sector. These factors, they said, include obsolete equipment, inadequate gas supply, improper coordination of plants and gas pipelines, lack of operating spinning reserve and voltage supply scheme, lack of reliable supervisory control and data acquisition, vandalism, tripping of critical infrastructure lines, lack of reliable communication facility, lack of visibility on the DISCO's network, and corruption. That's the updates there from the expert. They're trying to relay the reasons why we have, or why national grid collapse will not end soon. It reported in the Vanguard newspaper this morning. You might want to see details. It's saying hunger crisis will hit 133.1 million Nigerians in 2025. That's a report from the Vanguard newspaper. It says that on food and nutrition security analysis said no fewer than 133.1 Nigerians would face global hunger crisis in 2025. The Food and Agricultural Organization FAO disclosed this in a statement yesterday. It said the report was prepared by the federal government and supported by partners such as World Food Programme, WFP, and the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, among others. The statement reads, and I quote, "The Food and Nutrition Insecurity Analysis cadre harmonized, led by the government of Nigeria and supported by partners, alerts on the deterioration of food security in Nigeria, with 133.1 million people expected to face high level of food insecurity in the next lean season, that's June to August." It further says it is an alarming 7 million people increase from the same period last year, driven by economic hardship coupled with record high inflation, impact of climate change, and persistent violence in the northern states. Nationally, the number of people experiencing emergency levels, which is phase 4 of food insecurity, is projected to increase, while no population have been classified as catastrophe, which is phase 5. Populations experiencing emergency, which is phase 4, are anticipated to increase from 1 million people in the peak of 2024 lean season to 1.8 million people at the same period in 2025, representing an 80% increase. It's quite a detailed report there, and you may see the full story there from the Vanguard newspaper, where it's saying hunger crisis will hit 133.1 million Nigerians in 2025. But mixed reactions trail Nigeria's government release of End Bad Governance protesters. Mixed reactions have continued to trail the release of all minors prosecuted in court for their participation in the End Bad Governance demonstrations. Recall that the President Bola Tinubu, directed the Attorney General of the Federation to ensure the immediate release of the minors detained by the Nigerian police in connection to last August protest. The directive came days after some suspects, including minors, were charged with treason and inciting a military coup after they were seen waving Russian flags during the End Bad Governance protest against economic hardship. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who made the announcement during an emergency briefing at the Aso Rock Villa in Abuja, said, after examining the circumstances surrounding the cases, Tinubu issued the directive emphasizing the importance of balancing legal processes with humanitarian concerns. However, there have been reactions trailing that move from several quarters there. First on the list is the Northern Governors Arewa Consultative Forum, ACF, Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, the Labour Party, Peter Obi himself, among others, called for the immediate release of the minors, which I believe that they were not released. Similarly, the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project described the trial of the children as a brutal targeting of protesters. However, President Tinubu, aside ordering immediate release of the minors, also directed the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation to see to the welfare of the minors and ensure their smooth reunion with their parents. Reacting to the release of the minors, human rights lawyer Femi Falana urged the federal government to reintegrate and educate all minors arrested during the End Bad Governance protest, warning of legal actions if the government fails to comply. Falana emphasized that the government's decision to drop charges against 119 individuals, including 29 minors, is insufficient, stressing the importance of rehabilitation and education for the youth who should have been in school during the protest. He pointed out that the government's duty is outlined in child rights law, which mandates free and compulsory education for all children in Nigeria. These reactions, coupled with others, are trailing the release. There you can see details from the Daily Post newspaper. Mixed reactions trail Nigerian government release of End Bad Governance protesters. Our reps demand data on citizens displaced by natural disaster. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has called for data on the internally displaced persons, IDP, in Nigeria, as well as those in the neighboring countries rendered homeless by natural disasters. He made the call during a courtesy call on him by the Federal Commissioner, National Commission on Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, Tijani Ahmed, in Abuja on Wednesday. A statement issued on Thursday by the Chief Press Secretary to the Deputy Speaker, Levinus, quoted Kalu as attributing some of the displacements to the impact of natural disasters such as flooding and erosion. It says, and I quote, "We are charging your commission to give us the total report on the plight of Nigerians currently all across the country. So let the commission have an intervention fund dedicated to doing the proper needs analysis, so that as we do the budget, we look into it. This is part of the oversight function. So get us a report on that. Your mandates include refugee and the IDPs. You can't be internally displaced only through war or crisis. You can be internally displaced through climate-induced displacement, and that's what we are experiencing now. End of quote. You might want to see further details of what the Deputy Speaker says there. It says, the headline says, Reps demands data on citizens displaced by natural disasters. UJ coalition sent fresh petition to EFCC. A coalition of 51 anti-corruption groups has again petitioned the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, seeking the immediate arrest and prosecution of Abdullahi Ganduje, the former governor of Kano State and the current national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC. The petition dated November 4, 2024, and acknowledged by the EFCC on November 7, 2024, outlined numerous allegations of bribery and misappropriation against Ganduje while he was the governor of Kano State. Ganduje's tenure as governor from 2015 to 2023 has been marred by accusations of corruption, including a recent fraud charge filed by the Kano State government. Specific allegations against Ganduje in the petition included orchestrating a scheme to siphon funds through various accounts, converting them into cash and foreign currencies between 2020 to 2023, and multiple counts of criminal conspiracy, breach of trust, and misappropriation, among others. A total of 143 witnesses, including local government cashiers, foreign currency exchange operators, and former bank employees, are expected to provide testimonies. That's from the Daily Post newspaper this morning. Ganduje coalition sends fresh petition to EFCC. And going to the international scene, why Africa should be cautious about celebrating Kemi Badenoch's election. The expression "here we go again" ran across my mind as I processed the enthusiastic effusion of some Africans, especially the educated elite, over Kemi Badenoch's election as the new leader of the Britain's Conservative Party. That's a report there from the Punch newspaper detailing issues regarding the election of Kemi Badenoch as the Conservative Britain's Conservative Party. There, it's quite a long read, but I would say you should read that in the Punch newspaper this morning.
Unwind, relax, and enjoy the perfect blend of good music on Adamimogo 107.7 FM. Idoikiti, the voice of the light.